You ever come home from a long trip thinking, finally, some peace and quiet, just me and my couch and my leftover pizza? Well, imagine you unlock your front door, drop your bag, then freeze because there's a woman standing in your living room. Not just standing, she's wearing your bathrobe, drinking coffee out of your favorite mug, like she's been there forever. I swear, for a second, I thought I was the one trespassing in my own house. You know what I mean? Yeah, that happened. That woman was Brenda Hollister. Maybe you know her type, board member of the Willowbrook Estates HOA. Always has that clipboard energy. But I gotta say, seeing her in my row with my coffee, she didn't look official. She looked comfortable. Too comfortable. Neither of us said a word. I just stood there with my keys in my hand, and she set down the mug, pulled out her phone, and dialed 911. Like clockwork, she's telling the dispatcher there's an intruder in her home, gave them my address and everything. So there I am, stuck in this surreal sitcom from hell moment, listening to this woman who has no right to be in my house, reporting me as a criminal. The police show up maybe 14 minutes later, sirens and all. 2 officers at the door, Brenda already out front, arms crossed, doing her best impression of a wronged homeowner. She points right at me, starts spinning this story, says she caught me breaking in while she was doing authorized security checks on vacant homes for the HOA. According to her, I'm the suspicious one. Officer Morrison, guy looks like he's seen one too many neighbors go to war over whose fence is half an inch too high. Asks me if I can prove I live there. Of course I can. I hand him my driver's license, pull up my deed on my phone, offer to give him the grand tour, family photos, baby shoes in the hallway, you name it. But Brenda jumps in, says documents can be forged, HOA gave her full authority, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the kicker. I've been gone 2 weeks on a business trip that was supposed to be 3. Last-minute cancellation, came home early, didn't tell a soul. And now, because I didn't notify the neighborhood warden here, I'm getting grilled on my own front porch. I mean, you couldn't make this up. It would have been funny if it wasn't so absurd. But I kept my cool. I worked in contracts and legal disputes for years. When you know the facts are on your side, you learn to play the long game. See, Brenda thought she'd covered her tracks. Thought nobody would ever know what she did while I was gone. She was wrong. I glanced up at this little device tucked behind a plant in the ceiling corner. My security camera. Barely even moved my head. But just seeing it, I felt this surge of calm. I asked Officer Morrison one question. Would he like to see what really happened in this house the last 2 weeks? Here's the thing. There were warning signs, but I'd brushed them off. Before I left, little things fell off. A weird smell of perfume. Stuff not quite where I'd left it. Thermostat at some strange setting. First, I thought I was losing it. Second time, I checked the locks. Third, I asked my neighbor Cynthia if she'd seen anyone. She gave me a look and told me Brenda liked to do these wellness checks whenever folks were out of town. Happened to Cynthia, too. She got home from a weekend trip, found her mail sorted on the kitchen counter, a note from Brenda. She complained to the board. Nothing happened. Brenda was the board. Turned out the HOA bylaws had this loophole. Article 7, Section 3. Board members can access homes in emergencies or if there's a threat to community safety. Vague as hell, and apparently emergency means whenever Brenda felt like it. She'd done this at least 4 times in 2 years, always when people were out, always with the story she was protecting the neighborhood. Complain? Suddenly your grass is too long, trash cans in the wrong spot, or, God forbid, you painted your door the wrong shade of blue. I could have gone to the cops back then, but suspicion's not proof. I know how these things backfire. So, 3 days before my trip, I got smart. Set up motion cameras in every room. Everything linked to the cloud. Didn't tell anyone. If she came in, I'd have proof. If not, hey, just a safer house. Of course, she watched me leave, waited a couple days, then moved right in. Slept in my bed, ate my food, ran up my utilities, all the while thinking she'd get away with it. The sheer audacity. I almost had to respect it. Almost. Standing there, Brenda switched gears. She stopped accusing, started acting like she was the calm, reasonable one. Just a misunderstanding, she says. HOA duties, proper channels, let's be civilized. Like I was some lunatic blowing things out of proportion. Officer Morrison turns to me, asks if I've got any proof. I say, I have every minute on video. His eyebrows go up. You want to see it? I say. I pull out my phone, open the security app, scroll back 2 weeks, hit play on the front door cam. Morrison leans in. His partner, Officer Daniels, sidles over. Brenda hangs back, arms crossed, totally unaware of what's coming. The first clip? Brenda on my front door, 11:47 a.m., 3 days after I left. She looks around, makes sure no one's watching, then pulls out a key, the master key the HOA gives for emergencies, and lets herself in. No forced entry, nothing. Just cool as you please. Morrison has me pause. Turns to Brenda. Is that you? She says yes, still trying to play it cool, talking about routine checks. Morrison just nods, tells her to keep going. Next, she's hauling a suitcase down the hall. Then another trip with a smaller bag and what looks like a garment bag. This is not a security check. This is moving in. Kitchen cam. Groceries on my shelves, arranging everything like she owns the place. I look over, Morrison's jaw gets tight. He asks, how long did this go on? I tell him, 14 days, over 200 motion alerts, utility spikes. TV in the living room, hosting guests, her own photos on the nightstand, clothes in my closet. Not just living there, making it hers. I don't have to say anything. The footage says it all. Brenda's arms drop. She shifts her weight, looking smaller with every clip. Then she tries to pivot, starts talking fast about privacy, illegal surveillance. Morrison shuts her down. Are you saying you have a right to privacy inside someone else's home, using a master key you weren't authorized to use, in a house where the owner installed cameras legally? The silence after that. Man, it was almost beautiful. Her mouth opens, shuts. Daniels, the rookie, finally speaks. This looks like a clear case of unlawful entry and criminal trespass. Could even be burglary, a felony. And just like that, Brenda's face loses all color. She starts scrambling, talking about misunderstandings, HOA business. Can't we handle this without courts? Morrison doesn't have it. Miranda writes, backup called, apology to me. Brenda stands there, hands clasped, staring at the ground, as the woman who called 911 to get me thrown out of my own house is about to get arrested. I'll admit it, there was a certain poetic justice in that. Backup rolls up, neighbors start coming out. Cynthia at her mailbox, Tom Brewer from the board shaking his head, people I barely knew watching this unfold. The bigger the crowd, the more Brenda shrinks. She fumbles with her phone, calling every contact she's got. Nobody picks up, or nobody's coming. Morrison finally tells her to put it down. She hesitates, then drops her arm, fingers white on the phone case. Cynthia walks over, asks if she can give a statement. She says Brenda did the same thing to her. Moved in, stayed a few days while Cynthia was out. She complained, but the board ignored her. Now she's ready to talk. Tom Brewer comes over, says he warned Brenda this was illegal, but she brushed him off. He apologizes to me. Board should have acted sooner. Morrison leads Brenda to the patrol car. She moves like someone underwater, handcuffs click, neighbors watch, some filming, some just standing, everyone's silent. Brenda looks back at me, tries to say something about this not being over, about me not understanding what I've started, but the fight's gone from her voice. I don't reply. What's there to say? Morrison shuts the door. The car pulls away. The crowd breaks up. For the first time in weeks, I actually feel like I'm home. 3 weeks later, the charges land. Burglary of a habitation, criminal trespass, unlawful use of a security device, the master key. In Texas, burglary of a habitation? That's 2 to 20 years. She takes a deal, 5 years probation, pays back utilities and damages, can't come within 500 feet of my house, has to do community service and counseling for, and I quote, boundary violation behavior. Not prison, but enough. Her name's on the record, reputation shot. HOA calls an emergency meeting, Tom Brewer runs it. Board votes, no more master keys for anyone. New policy, nobody gets into a house without the owner's written consent, unless there's a real emergency and law enforcement verifies it. The old vague clause? Rewritten, loopholes gone. Cynthia gets elected to the board. She says she never wanted this, but someone has to make sure it never happens again. I still live in the same house. Camera's still there, but I check them less. Some nights, I walk around and the place feels different. Not because anything looks new, but because, finally, it's mine. Not just on paper. Nobody can take what's yours without consequences. Not anymore. Brenna Hollister learned that lesson the hard way. And I hope, really hope, the next person who thinks they can do what she did remembers what happened on my front lawn. Or better yet, remembers the look on her face when she realized nobody was coming to save her. So let me ask you, what do you call justice? Was this enough? Have you ever had someone cross a line so boldly you had to fight back just to keep what's yours? I'd love to hear your thoughts, your stories. Drop them in the comments. Because honestly, after everything I've seen, sometimes the only way to get justice is to bring the whole neighborhood out to watch.